What's up, YouTube? Hope you all are doing well. I've actually already videoed this whole thing, but sadly I paused midway through because there was some lag and yeah, I didn't capture the rest. So, um, what we're doing today is we're going to be doing a Kingdom Hearts ranking video. This Kingdom Hearts is obviously very important to me. I love the game. I love what it does, and I really enjoy the series as a whole. We're going to be talking about every game. I'm going to go into detail about why I choose one game over another, or why I put one over another in my ranking system. So we're going to go ahead and start with some of the games that aren't super controversial. We're not going to be talking about any of the mainline games right this second, even though they're all basically mainline games. So we're going to start with Recoded. Kingdom Hearts Recoded is just a money grab almost. It tries to play a point and why you should buy it, but it's really just clunky combat. It's pointless. It doesn't help with the story. They try to make it help with the story, but it's really just a bad game that didn't need to come out. And I don't really want to waste a lot of time on it, so I'm gonna go ahead and reload because we're not. There we go. So yeah, I think it's F tier. I think it's just a bad game in general. Don't want to spend a whole lot of time on it. Union Cross is a top tier mobile game. Um, it really helps with the story. It really convolutes the story too. It is what it is. I enjoyed playing it when it was still a thing, before it got to pay to play. Early on, it was a really cool idea. You got to learn more about the story, about these dandelions and their mission and why there was a Keyblade graveyard, and it really helped understand a lot of it. A lot of times it was convoluting the rest of the story, and so there's that. But I rank it at B tier. You're going to see other games that are at B tier. These are not the same types of games. It is a mobile game. It has not been re-edited to be a console game, and therefore I'm putting it at B tier as a mobile game. It could probably be A tier if I really wanted to argue it, but the pay to play aspect and just its sometimes boredom that it causes is why I'm keeping it at B tier. The last game I want to do is a not 358. I want to do Kingdom Hearts 0.2, a Fragmentary Passage. This is a great game, but it's not a game. It is a passage. It is a fragment of a game. It is just for Square Enix to show their skills off with Aqua going through this dark realm that the rest of the series does not touch on, which does add to its importance. It is very much something that we get to experience through them just showing off their cool mechanics and us getting to play with Aqua in a way that we never have gotten to play. We obviously get to play with her in Birth by Sleep, but it's not as fun. And so I rank 0.2 very highly, but it is as a fragment game. It is not a full game. If there is a game beside Birth by Sleep by the end of this, it is probably a better game as a whole, but I am ranking it as a fragment of what it was supposed to do. Now that those are all out of the way, I really want to get into the mainline games. And I'm obviously going through this somewhat quick because I've already just gone through it, but I think it's important that it's done, even if I am already over talking about some of these games. We'll start with Kingdom Hearts 1. Kingdom Hearts 1 was literally the start of it all, right? It was 2002. There weren't a lot of games that really did what this game did. It was creative by adding Disney and Square Enix characters, Final Fantasy characters more specifically, and it was a different game that nobody could imagine. And you follow this boy Sora, and you really get invested in the storyline that at first is not that great. I mean, it's very it's very in itself, and so that helps because Kingdom Hearts 1 was not expecting to have a Kingdom Hearts 2 or a Chain of Memories or anything like that, but it was in itself, and so You had the princesses and their hearts and how important that was, and how that just got thrown to the side after it was all done. So I think that Kingdom Hearts 1 is an S tier game for when it was made. That being said, it is dated. It's not my favorite game to play now. It's not even in my top 5 favorite games to play now. But it really focuses on combat and being very specific with your moves and your skills, and I think that that's really important. Um, Next, we have Kingdom Hearts Chain of Memories. Kingdom Hearts Chain of Memories is a wonderful game if you play it on the Game Boy. It is a terrible game if you play it on the console. And here's why. It's because the console games weren't meant to have a specific deck that they had to play with. And so you get into this game, and it's not like Kingdom Hearts 1, and it's not like Kingdom Hearts 2, and the Rechain of Memories, obviously. And it is very boring, and it can be hard to move, and the camera sucks. That's another problem with Kingdom Hearts 1, but I understand that for time period. Kingdom Hearts Chain of Memory, the camera kind of sucks. The rooms are very boring because they are meant to be handheld versions. So if we split up the rankings, I think that they would be very different. If you're ranking it off of the original Chain of Memories Kingdom Hearts game, I think it is S tier or A tier. If you're ranking it off of Rechain of Memories coming out so much later, having time to be redone, I think it's D or E tier. And so I am going to rank it off of what I think of it as, because this is a game I grew up playing. I didn't grow up playing Rechain of Memories. I played Chain of Memories. And so for that reason, I think this game is A tier. It is a full game, and so it is obviously in a different category than a Fragmentary Passage, but it is a different game. Kingdom Hearts 2. Real quick, I think Kingdom Hearts 2 did away with the style of Kingdom Hearts 1, and for good things. It becomes a lot more floaty. It becomes a lot more friendly to the normal audience. Kids can play this game and have a good time with it. Kingdom Hearts 1, if you got stuck at a boss, there was no chance of you beating it unless you actually learned how to beat it. Kingdom Hearts 2, you can kind of fudge your way. You have the Mickey system. You have all these things that help you in your process of beating a challenging boss. It does have critical mode, which is really good, and it has the Organization 13 battles. And it tells a story that is so unique because it starts with not a main character. It starts with a side character that you don't really have any understanding of who it is unless you played Chain of Memory. So it is revolutionary in that. So I have it as an S tier game, but I do have it behind Kingdom Hearts 1, and challenge me at that. Sorry about that. Let us continue with Kingdom Hearts 358 over 2. I was one of the lucky ones, and I got to play this on the original DS, and by lucky I mean completely unlucky. I wish I had just had a video to watch. But if you really wanted to understand the story of Roxas, or really not understand the story of Roxas in all honesty, this was the game for you. It was very boring. It was task oriented to progress the story. It really had a decent story, but it just, if I have to do tasks to advance, it was all side quests. It was all side quests. And for that reason, it is very unplayable now. It is very unenjoyable. I think it's an E tier game. It had so much to live up to because you had Kingdom Hearts 2 out, you had Chain of Memories out. This is like one of the worst ways to play the game. And yeah, you got to play as Roxas and use the Keyblade and fight, and it was kind of similar, but it really wasn't because it was all task oriented. Because that's really all the DS, I guess, could handle in their minds. Birth by Sleep was a PSP game following Ventus, Aqua, and Terra. You play the story 3 times. For that reason alone, it is not an S tier or A tier. And so it does it do its job on a PlayStation Portable? The short answer is yes. The long answer is kind of, because it kind of takes away from the original game. You don't have drives anymore. You have these moves that you build up, and you still have the slash button, but it's really just really complicated and really boring combat, especially if you play with someone like Terra, who is slow moving and very clunky, very heavy hitting, but very clunky in general. This game can be really boring, and uh, then you play the story three times from three people's perspectives, and so you get to the end, and it's like, oh, cool, now I get to know who the Xehanort is, and I get to see Ventus possibly die. We don't know, and there's all this cool stuff about it, but it really is just a PlayStation Portable game that uh, got moved to the system. And I feel that way for quite a few of these games, that if they didn't get moved to the system, we'd have a better look at these. I personally think Birth by Sleep is a C or D tier game, but I won't put it that low because I think it has a lot of impact on what happens later. It just shows us Xehanort in his true form. It shows us quite a few characters and how they build up to giving Sora, Riku, and Kairi their Keyblade abilities, and how Sora has Roxas in his heart as well as Ventus. It doesn't fully explain all that because why would it? Why make a game easy to understand? So, Birth by Sleep is like a B tier, I guess. I can't actually put it in C tier. Oh, it moved right after I refreshed. That's fine. We'll just bring it right there. I don't think it's better than Union Cross, but Union Cross is a mobile game. I'd rather play Union Cross than Birth by Sleep. I said what I said. Dream Drop Distance. Dream Drop Distance added a lot of qualities that the other games didn't have. You had flow motion. You had the blue and white character, the Dream Eaters, all the different kinds, and you played Pokemon while you were doing it by collecting them all. It was very different than every other game because it tried to be different, and I think that that's a good thing. But if you notice, not all of it got taken to Kingdom Hearts 3, and for good reason. Flow motion had to be completely reworked because it was stupid in Dream Drop Distance. How you just motion to everything and you get trapped motioning, and the Dream Eaters quality was kind of gone. And yeah, you can argue that Dream Eaters were specific to their dropping, but it just wasn't that fun. You got to play as Riku. I think Riku was pretty cool. This is the first game that actually gave Riku more than just a basic set. You get to play as him in Chain of Memories if you beat the game. That's not really that fun. I can't think of any other games you get to play as Riku as I'm looking at this list. So for that reason, I think Dream Drop Distance should be looked at as a positive piece. That being said, it should not be someone's favorite game. I think it's B tier, maybe even C tier. I'll put it B tier just because why have a C tier? Kingdom Hearts 3. I guess the question is this pre DLC or post DLC? Because I think if it's pre DLC, it is probably like a C or B tier game. Post DLC, I think it's the best game, and I'm gonna get a lot of hate for that. But it takes what Kingdom Hearts 1 set off to do, and takes all the crap from all the other games that Nomura wanted to put into it, and really puts a good story out there for you. You get to explore Scala ad Kaim, which was just this cool place for a final world. Although it wasn't very invasive when you got to play through it, it was still such a cool thing to actually go through with. There's so many hidden Easter eggs, and you get to follow Organization 13, and there's the story with the box of the Master of Masters gives to Lucio that we find out in Union Cross. But I think Kingdom Hearts 3 is going to get hated because it is a mainline game, and it's the summary of Xehanort, the finale of Xehanort. But it's not just the finale of Xehanort. It is the culmination of all the garbage before it. Kingdom Hearts 1 had a game that was in itself. Kingdom Hearts 2 did not. Kingdom Hearts 2 tried to add 1.5 and 1 and create 2, but also create Organization... Well, didn't create Organization 13, but made Organization 13 complicated and gave them a motive to find hearts, and then you battle Xemnas, and then you get 358 over 2, and that culminates into this Organization 13 being even more complicated, and people dying and losing their hearts, and you have Shion, which was just a crazy character that just appears out of nowhere, and why does that happen? And then you get Birth by Sleep, which tells the pre-story, and then you get Dream Drop's Distance, which tries to summarize between Kingdom Hearts 2 and Kingdom Hearts 3, but really doesn't do a great job, and then you're just stuck with Kingdom Hearts 3. Kingdom Hearts 3 does everything well. The full finished product. It has a great critical mode. It has a top-notch Organization 13 battle, which is why people put Kingdom Hearts 2 above Kingdom Hearts 1. If you play Kingdom Hearts 3 Organization battles, they are phenomenal. And the reason why they weren't originally included was because Organization 13 wasn't the fight. You know, it was Xehanort and all of his people, but it was Xehanort. Where Organization 13 was working up the ladder of the organization, Kingdom Hearts 3 was working up the Xehanorts, the 7 darknesses, or 13 darknesses, and finding the 7 lights. I think it's a really good game. I think it's the best Kingdom Hearts game. I would love to sit here and say that I think all 3 of the top games are equal. I don't. I think Kingdom Hearts 1 has an excuse of why it is how it is. Kingdom Hearts 2 just falls short for me. Not obviously S tier short, but it compared to the other 2, Kingdom Hearts 2 doesn't do anything it's trying to do, and it convolutes the story, and yeah, I don't know. What was the mission at the end? I really don't know. Kingdom Hearts 3 really tries to help solve the issues, really helps try to solve the story, and I respect it for that. I respect the heck out of it, because there was so much that Nomura really messed up with his storytelling skills. That being said, as convoluted as Kingdom Hearts is, I hate when people say that it's terrible storytelling, or that it's terrible, it doesn't make sense, or it contradicts itself. It is confusing and convoluted, but you can understand it, and people who say that they can't are choosing not to, or apparently don't have the brain capacity to. It is a good story. It is just convoluted, and you have to play 10 games to figure it all out. 2, 5, 7, 10. Yeah, 10 games to figure it all out. Although Recoded doesn't really add anything, so 9. But yeah, that's my ranking. I have Kingdom Hearts 3, Kingdom Hearts 1, Kingdom Hearts 2. Those are obviously the mainline story games. Then you have Chain of Memories and Fragmentary Passage. I think those make sense why they would be under the first 3. And then I have Union Cross, Birth by Sleep, and Dream Drop Distance on the same wavelength. I would honestly move Dream Drop's Distance to the C tier, just because I just heard myself say that, and I am moving crap around that I thought I was not moving. And then 358 over 2, terrible game, Recoded, money grab. So that's my ranking. What's yours? Leave them down in the comment below. I'd love to hear them. I'd love to argue with you. Yeah, that's it. Talk to you later. Bye.